Hello, art lovers. Welcome back. Today I'm going to do some tests with the Nitram's liquid charcoal. As I said it before, I never used this type of medium before. To me, it seems like it is in between a water medium, a watercolor, and a charcoal base medium. So I have used the water soluble chalk before, and you have to draw on top of the page, or you have to grind it into powder to use at this point. So I'm really interested to find out the result of this medium, how this will work out on the piece of paper. It's also an adventure for me to test it out. So I use here a piece of small watercolor paper to see how things can react, and I'm going to put in some water to dissolve it. Okay, so yeah, it seems like it is like watercolor. Let me put in more water. As you can see, the color is kind of disappearing a little. Just the reaction right now is just like watercolor. I can paint with a brush, or let's see, use my hand, or maybe I can use a palette knife. I can test things out a little. Yeah, I can paste the charcoal on top. I think one of the benefits from using this is how thick that I can apply the charcoal on top of the paper, which is I cannot do that with the traditional charcoal. There's no way that I can pile the the charcoal like that when I'm using the Wello or the vine charcoal, or even the compressed charcoal. I think I can have some fun with it to see how it look like. Prior to that, I have done a similar test yesterday, but not as much with the brush, and I would say, and not much as thick. I used the palette knife to test out the medium. The other one is already dry. Maybe I can also try to see what can I do with the dry medium. So as I said, prior to that, I have done a little bit of a test, and today I am doing more tests actually to see how it is reacting. It does really similar thing what watercolor can do. Interesting. Look at this. I can get instant highlight back to really bright. Earlier was quite dark even here. Interesting. That means I can do some interesting texture on it later on. Spotting some of the chalk on top. Really interesting. Just like watercolor, as I said, but with some more forgiveness when I'm using a palette knife like this. Great. It's great to know. Let's see if I can add more water on top. It will be spreading like watercolor. Quite interesting. I'm going to add just water here and then let it run. Wow. It does show some kind of interesting effects to it. Okay. Let me show you from a different angle how the thickness of the this charcoal can stay onto the page. Let me see which angle is better. Okay, can you see here? It's really thick, right? You can see it actually is piled up on top of the paper, and the other area is quite flat. So I think I can use that as an advantage and to show some textures. The charcoal itself, I'm not quite sure if it can still dissolve after it dried up. So there's only one way to find out, right? As I said earlier, that I have done a small test with the other one, so maybe I can bring that over and let's see how it will react. Here is the small test I have done earlier. The reason why I'm using the watercolor paper because it can absorb the water. That way the paper will not be crumbed up as much, but even though it's watercolor paper, it's kind of a little bit crumble, kind of a creating the surfaces not even. But anyway, this is just a test. What I can tell is when the charcoal is dried up, actually it is a little bit lighter than what it appears. Perhaps later on I can use the charcoal stick to add more value if I wanted to. Let's see how it looks like if I'm going to erase some part of it. This is totally dried already, so okay. Let's see. It's not really coming out, and let's see the other area. Okay. The thicker area will not come out, but as you can see right here, the thinner area it can come off easier. Okay. Let me see how bright it can come back. Not as bright as this, but it's about like 10% darker. So that means I have two choices to make. Just like when I'm doing my watercolor, if I don't use the mask, mask it, and that means I have to reserve the area as white. So that would be my option. Or I can put on some white chalk on top to see if that will work out or not. Let's test it out with the white chalk. Well, as you can see, even the white chalk will not be getting as bright as the paper itself. That's why I was always saying that keep the area untouched if you really want that to be the highlight or the brightest area. Anyway, I would like to see what I can do with some more area with erasing, and it seems only the lighter tone area can be erased, but the darker tone area is pretty solid, not budging. See, not moving anywhere. Let's see, let me re-wet the area to see how this might react. If I want that area to become lighter, what can I do with it? Oh, okay. Interesting. So let me dab it out. Wow. Actually, it's not permanent. It's much easier than watercolor. It can be taken out. Just add some water and you can get back to the lighter tone really quickly. Look at that. Interesting. That means I also have the working space I can use on top of this surface right here, and it will become brighter and brighter. But I think that it cannot be as bright as what we erase here. Let's see. Let's dab it out. One thing when you're doing this, from my experience doing watercolors, is you don't want to erase like that, okay? You don't want to erase like that. If you have water, you put on top, dab it out. Absorb the water off the surface. That way you're not going to damage the paper itself. Okay, as I can see now, the tone is getting a little bit darker than here, but you can compare from here to here. That's how it was looking like with the value earlier. Okay, so let me see this angle once again to see how much the charcoal can stay. Can you see? There's a little bit of texture on top, right? Here. A little bit of texture on top right here. So you can tell that there's a thickness. Yeah. All right. So this is an experiment with the charcoal. Let me see if I can add some more darker tone on top, make it more deeper with black with the stick. So I'm going to use the yellow tag stick. As we know, this is the darkest one, and from the previous test, let's see how it would smudge on top. Okay. Perhaps it's because the paper has a lot of grain on top. Yeah, texture of the paper itself. The charcoal actually is not combining easily with the other tone, the darker tone area. Let me see the lighter tone area, how it would appear. Okay, perhaps it's my finger as well. I'm gonna try it with the stump. Let's see how the stump will react on top. Yeah, I'm experimenting with many things to see how this will react before actually getting myself into more refinement drawings, things like that. Okay, I'm going to erase some of the area to see how easily it will come off. Okay. Erasing is no problem with the lighter area, but as I said earlier, the erasing in a darker tone area, it will not come out as easy. So, yeah, as you can see right here, the darker tone area is not as easy. The lighter tone can still come off a little bit more, but not as much. In this case, I have to know exactly what value to put on before, actually I would do more refinement on top. The same thinking when I'm doing my watercolor. But at the same time, it seems the area would dry up a little bit lighter than as I was expecting. So that is something good to know. And I will definitely will try to work on something more refined with this charcoal, this liquid charcoal. It would be interesting to see how this medium can work out. As I have mentioned that I used the water soluble chalk before. This is another level because I don't need to uh, grinding the powder from the water soluble chalk, or I don't need to make the area kind of a draw the area with the chalk and then use brush on top. This I can just directly use water to dilute the darkness of the medium and paint on top. I think this is also a good medium to use to tone the paper as well. Just really light tone and giving a sense of a kind of a different value on top, and you can add white chalk on top if you want to. Yeah, it is a good experiment, and this is what we have done just earlier. And see, some of this earlier was darker, now it's a little bit lighter actually. And let me see if I can work something on this one already. And earlier I used the palette knife, right? Remember? Now let me see how it will react when it is dry. It's not moving, okay? And perhaps it's a different paper because the watercolor paper will absorb the chalk onto the paper itself. Later on, maybe I can test on the other type of paper and give a fair test, and also maybe I can work a little bit on canvas as well, since it's a painting. It's kind of in between the drawing and painting. I'm not quite sure what what to call it. Maybe it's called dranting. I don't know. Drawing and painting at the same time, right? The medium is a draw medium, but the application to use, which is more likely towards watercolor, and when it dried up, it is more towards charcoal. So it's kind of interesting. In between, right? Kind of hybrid medium between water medium and also dry medium. So that's something maybe I can share in my own experience. As I said, I'm gonna try it out on a different surface and let's see how it work out. Okay, I have a gessoed canvas board right here. Let's see how things can actually appear with the gesso board. I really want to find out the different effect with different materials, so I can give myself a better understanding what I can do with this medium. It is new to me, so I have to do a lot of testing on top. Maybe some people already have experience with it, but this is a new medium to me. So every medium have their own potential, and I would like to see what kind of potential this can offer. Okay, I'm gonna put some just water here, and just like that. Yeah, just like watercolor. and I would like to put in thicker application. Okay, pasting on top. The look of it, it looks like the ivy black when I'm using the oil from at this stage, and yeah, it is quite interesting. Let me push towards the wet area to see how it will react. As I said, experiment. Okay, I'm just doing experiment with what this medium might be able to offer. I don't know. And I would like to see later on if I can use just water to clean out the surface as well. That is something interesting to know as well, because this is a gesso board, right? So gesso board is plastic, so I would like to see how much it can stay on to the surface. I'm really pushing it, isn't it? I'm really pushing the idea how and what can be done with this medium. I think the maybe you guys will be appreciate the effort I put in, and as much as it will benefit me and it will benefit you as well. Save you some time, save a lot of times actually, for you to get to know of this medium. This what we already know earlier. You can scratch it and back into the really bright value. Yeah. I think if you want to reserve an area to be brighter, this might be the time that before it kind of dried up. Let's see. Okay. Even when it's wet, it still cannot go back to the as much as we had earlier. Okay. Oh, actually it does. On gesso board, I can just clean out the whole thing. Let me see. Let's let it sit when it dry, and then come back and see the other experiment. See how it will look like. I'm now going to change into a little bit thicker piece of paper. Let's see how it will look with the thicker paper. So okay, I have a piece of tone paper here. Instead of a white paper, I'm going to use a piece of tone paper, since I've been using tone paper lately to do many demos. So let's see how it will react on top of this paper. It's a little bit thinner than the watercolor paper, and it will not absorb as much as the watercolor paper. It shouldn't be absorbing as much, and also it will crumble more than the watercolor paper. So let's see how this will react. Okay, just remember, this piece of paper is not meant to build for water medium, so it will start crumble. That's normal. And I'm trying to do a little bit lighter wash here. The idea is to see how it will react later on when I erase it with the eraser, how much it can be taken out earlier, because the watercolor paper will absorb the pigment onto the surface of the paper, inside the paper actually. So, and this paper right here is built for a different purpose. So let's see how it will look. It will look like when I erase some of the area after it is dry. Okay, so I'm just gonna put a little bit more tone here and there. Nothing particular, just randomly put in some tones. Maybe I can do a gradations. something like that. Okay, I think that's enough for toning the surface, and I will wait for a little bit, and after it dried up, let's see how it look like. Okay, the paper is dried up, and we can test things out to see how it reacts. Okay, when it dry, still you will not be able to erase. As you can see, still not moving. I'm going to use the eraser stick to see how it can work on top. Okay, it's not budging. It's not moving at all. And let's see how much this can be taken out by adding on top. The dry medium is good to take it out, as you can see. Okay, I can take out much of the tone as well it stay. At this point, the result and conclusion that I have on paper is not because the watercolor paper actually is the charcoal itself. It kind of grabs on top of the paper, and it will not easily to be removed. And let's see this area. Even in the light area, it's not as easy to take out. Okay, so that means it's more permanent than I thought. It is like ink on top of the paper, and it will not do too much of a changing with the value. Let's see if I can wet it and change the value. And dab it. Okay. It seems this is the only way we can actually line up the area. I think when it is dry, the value would be different. Let's see on the darker tone area. Yeah, this is the only way to getting the area lighter, just like watercolor. So this is how it looks like on the paper. Let's come back to the canvas. Okay, so once again, I'm going to erase the area to see if anything will change. Not really. Okay, yeah, only on the lighter area I can actually take out some. Let's see if I'm going to use the eraser stick. Okay, the eraser stick can do a little bit change on the lighter area, but not at all in the darker area. As you can see, will not budge at all. As I said earlier, I would like to see if I can use water to clean the area. Let's see. Well, it's kind of a dissolved with the water earlier, but I want to see how much actually I can clean. Since this is a gesso board, I can see how much you can take and how much actually I can reuse the area if I need to, let's say that reconstructing the area. Okay. I mean, it's pretty easy to clean, even better than an eraser, right? If I'm going to use the canvas board to do something. Maybe perhaps the next demo I can actually try to do something on the canvas board and to see how it will react. Before that, and also I would like to see how the charcoal, the dry medium, will react on the canvas board first. This is the darkest value, and let me push it in. It seems the darkest value of the charcoal, that dark, appears on the canvas board. It's really dark on my finger, as you can see, right? It's really dark on the canvas board. That means mixing the charcoal on the canvas board is not really a good idea. Perhaps on the paper is better. Alright, so as you can see today, I have done the with the different medium, with the different paper, watercolor paper, thicker drawing paper, and a canvas board, and you can see the result. And as I said, I might do something with the liquid charcoal with the canvas board to see how it will react, and also I might do something with the thicker drawing paper, even thicker drawing paper, to see the quality of the applications. So I hope you like today's video. If you like the content, please click like, subscribe, and share with your friends. See you guys next time. Bye.